بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم الحكيم اللهم اجعل هذه محاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to be covering the book, The Waiting Period, or Kitab al-Iddah, or Iddad, Kitab al-Iddad. There are three conditions. First of all, what is a waiting period? I know we talk about it. What is it? طيب. Huh?
A waiting period.
What is it?
For a woman in iddah.
Yeah, what does that mean?
That means that, from what I understand, there are differences of opinion on that, but it could be, the waiting period could be 3 menstrual cycles, or the time in between 3 menstrual cycles, or 3 months.
Okay. Yes.
It's either 3 periods or 3.
But what is it though? What?
Time between pronouncements of talaq.
Okay. Right. Yes.
The time after the talaq.
The time after the talaq.
So maybe is it also after the
Mumkin.
question?
So then, the iddah period, there are 3 conditions in which a woman will go into iddah, or a waiting period. What is she waiting for? Waiting for what? Waiting to get remarried. Or the time period in which it would be halal for her to get married. So since we mentioned, I got a question. Can a man have an iddah period? Do men have iddahs? Huh?
No, I don't think so. No.
Huh? Can a man have the iddah?
It sounds weird.
It sounds weird. Not possible?
Is it a different name?
I'm asking. No, it's iddah. Can a man have the iddah period? Is there an iddah period for a man?
He could be a part of.
Huh? Like, some of the ulama, they mentioned that a man has something similar to an iddah period. Like, when would that be?
During the time that the woman that he's married, his wife is during her iddah period, because that's time for him to take him.
La. An iddah period means you wait, you can't get married.
Because he has already,
And?
and you have to wait till the one ends before you get married.
Mumtaz. So a man, some of the ulama say a man will have an iddah period. Let's say he has 4 wives and he divorces one of them. He cannot get married again until she finishes her iddah. So hence, the man has an iddah period. In this case, he cannot get married until she what? Finishes, completes her iddah. Lima, why is that? Why is that?
Technically, he would have more than 4 wives.
No, technically, let's say it's a talaq raja'iyah. What's a talaq raja'iyah?
There's no return.
No, a talaq raja'iyah, we spoke about this in the last class, is when a man can take the wife back. So if he divorces a woman while she's raja'iyah, meaning he can take her back, the first or the second divorce, in this case, while she is divorced, she is technically still married to him. While she is divorced, she is technically still married to him. So in this case, if he were to marry someone else, that will give him how many wives? 5. 5 wives is impermissible in Islam. Right. So then, when would a person, or when does a woman go into iddah? There are 3 cases in which a woman has to have an iddah. The first one, in khala biha, if a man is alone with his wife and no one sees them, even if he is not intimate with her and he divorces her, she has an iddah period. Thalathatul quru, 3 menstrual periods. The next one, number 2, if a man is intimate with his wife, he has intercourse with her, and then divorces her, obviously she has to have what? An iddah period. And the last one is when a husband passes away. he dies, and he's married to her, she also has an iddah period. Is that clear? So then those are the three conditions in which a woman will have an iddah period. Although there are 6 types of iddah, but there are 3 conditions in which an iddah is done. Meaning these 3 things, one of these 3 things are what causes a woman to have an iddah. The man is alone with her, the man has intercourse with her, or her husband passes away. Outside of those things, a woman will not have an iddah. Is that clear? طيب. قال مصنف رحمه الله تعالى كتاب العدد. Remember, we're coming from, now just to clarify some things here, we're going through the book Kitab al-Iddah, or the book of the waiting period. We're not covering every single issue in here. If we were, we'll be here until a while, and people will be confused and we will never finish. So we're picking out points and issues that are pertinent, that make sense, that are easy to explain. The more detailed ones, then if we ever have do this course again for talabatul ilm, the people that want the tafasil, the details, then we'll cover it again in more detail. Just so whoever's following along is Zadul Mustaqni', we're going to leave off some parts and we're going to cover some parts. قال المصنف رحمه الله تعالى تلزم العدة كل امرأة فارقت زوجا. So then, the author, he first starts off by saying, any woman that separates from her husband, but the condition that they khala biha, that he is alone with her. مطاوعة مع علمه بها وقدرته على وطئها. Now, here's the condition if a man is alone with her. He is alone with her willfully, number one, and he has knowledge that that is his wife, and if he wanted to, he could have had intercourse with her. So that's the conditions of being alone with her. Is that clear? طيب. ولو مع ما يمنعه منهما أو من أحدهما حسا أو شرعا. All right. Even if he's with her and he cannot have intercourse with her, maybe because her mens is on, this still would require her to have an iddah. Or maybe something's wrong with him sexually where he can't be intimate with her, she will still be required to have an iddah period if they are alone. Is that clear? Right. The opposite is true. Let's say, for example, a man marries a woman, they get married today, they walk out of the masjid, they get into an argument, and he says, you know what, you're divorced. Does she have an iddah period? No. Why not? It was 3 things we mentioned. What are the 3 things? He wasn't alone with her. He didn't have sexual intercourse with her. And obviously he didn't pass away. So then, that's how you know if a woman has an iddah period or not. Those are the 3 things. Okay? Right. So the next one. So the first one we said, he is alone with her. The next one is wati'aha, in that he has intercourse with her. That was the second thing. The third thing, mata anha, or he passes away, the man dies. Right. Now here's the issue. The man passes away. Right? Hatta. So the ulama here, he mentions hatta. This means that even if, that would be an indicator that there's a possibility of a difference of opinion. He says, hatta fi nikah fasidin, fihi khilafun. Even so then, if a woman marries a man, and some people say, man, their marriage is not valid. Why? She got married, she didn't have a wali. This is what you call a nikah fasid. A nikah fasid, which means that it's corrupt, right? Some scholars say it counts, some says it doesn't count, etc., right? If we agree that the nikah is fasid, even if her husband dies with a marriage like that, for example, she got married without a wali, even in this case, she still has the iddah of the woman whose husband passed away, because that's a certain type of iddah period. The iddah period for a woman when her husband passes away is different from the other iddah periods, and we're going to talk about that inshallah ta'ala. It says, وَإِن كَانَ بَاطِلًا وِفَاقًا لَمْ تَعْتَدْ لِلْوَفَاةِ. Now let's say she got married, but her marriage is batil, meaning no one's going to agree that this marriage is off. So then if a woman gets married without a wali, there's some of the ulama that say it's permissible, but there's a majority of the scholars say it's impermissible, right? But then there are some marriages that no scholars at all is going to say is permissible. Like what? What type of marriage would that be? For example, if a man marries a fifth wife and he has four. Or a man marries, a woman gets married and she's a mu'tadda, meaning she's in her iddah period. It is impermissible, sisters, to get married while you're in your iddah period. There's no scholar in Islam that's going to say either of those marriages are sahih. So in this case, if the one she married, meaning with the fifth marriage or while she's in her iddah, that marriage right there, if he dies, she has a regular iddah period, not the iddah for a woman whose husband passed away. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't she have the iddah period for the woman whose husband passed away? What is the reason why she wouldn't? Because the marriage itself is invalid. So then what is she having the iddah period for? Because of those what? Those three things. Huh? Which one of the three would it be? The first two. Walde, is that clear? Right. All right, the next one, it says, وَمَنْ فَارَقَهَا حَيًّا قَبْلَ وَطْئِهِ وَخَلْوَةٍ. If a man divorces his wife before he has intercourse with her or is alone with her. Oh, and there's some other things that I mentioned that I'm not going to mention. Oh, قَبَّلَهَا, or if he kisses her or لَمَّسَهَا بِلَا خَلْوَةٍ فَلَا عِدَّةٍ. This means that if a man marries a woman, he does not have intercourse with her, he is not alone with her, but he kisses her, he holds her hand, etc., and he divorces her. In this case, there's no iddah. Why? Because what? Because of the three things. None of the three things happen. Remember, the ulama, they mention these three things and they give you examples. So that why is that? This is so that the one that would like to become a jurist or faqih, someone to understand fiqh, the ulama give you three principles. They'll give you principles throughout the process, and everything you cover it goes back to it. They call this a dabit. This is something that you use and say, okay, if it meets this condition, then this. If it doesn't meet that condition, then that. Okay? It prevents a person from getting confused when you deal with some of these issues. طيب. So then the next one. في عدد الأصناف المعتدات وأحكامهن. So right now we're going to talk about, there are six, how do I want to say that? There are sitta mu'taddat. There are six types of women that have the iddah, if that makes sense. There's six. I might say it better as we start explaining it, but right now there's six reasons, if you will. Well, we already mentioned the three things, the three conditions. But inside of those conditions, there are also six things that will cause a woman to have an iddah. The first one, well, there's six conditions that a woman is in when she's in iddah. That sounds better. There are six conditions that a woman could be in when she's having her iddah, and it's going to determine her iddah period. What does that mean? Number one, a woman that is pregnant. Can a man divorce a woman when she's pregnant? Yes or no? Mumtaz. طيب. If he divorces her, how long is her iddah period? How long is her waiting period? How long is it? Till the baby is born. Until the baby is born. Yes. Yes.
So it's only till the baby is born.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with the period after the baby is born. That's not a part of it.
La. The period after the baby is born is called the postpartum bleeding. That's a different ruling on something else. Okay? So then, al-hamilu, a woman that is pregnant, iddatuha min mautin wa ghayrihi ila wad'i kulli hamlin. Pay attention to this, brothers and sisters. If a woman is pregnant, we said that her iddah period is when? How long? Until she has the baby. Right. Well, what happens if she's pregnant and her husband passes away? Does she have the iddah for the husband passing away? Or does she have the iddah period for the one that is pregnant?
Well, she would have to have the period until the baby is born. But then does the other one come into play at that point?
So the sheikh's saying maybe it's both. Right? Right. Huh? What do you mean claim divorce? She's divorced. She's pregnant, she's in iddah. Right? Yes.
I got a question. Say you make it a condition your wife is pregnant, and you say the condition after, like say she want to get divorced. You say, well, after you had that baby, you would be granted the divorce. How would that go as far as the iddah period? Or is just
Well, I mean, in general, that's called a talaq. That's called a talaq bil-shart, right? A divorce with a condition. If you say to her that you're divorced as soon as you have the baby, then as soon as the baby comes, then she's divorced after the baby is born. Sheikh, I don't want to get into that because that's going to open up a whole bunch of questions about your issue. Did it happen? I'm gonna be like Imam Malik. Did that happen?
yes, it happened.
To you?
Yes.
I will talk about it. Dang, I thought you were going to say no. You did that before? You told a sister after she had the baby, you divorced?
Yeah, I said she wanted to be here.
No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, did you tell the sister after you have the baby, you're divorced? You said that? All right, so why, all right, if you didn't say that, then it didn't happen. So what are you talking about? What happened?
What I'm saying is this. Say, well, I'm going to say she was pregnant.
Well, either she was pregnant or she wasn't.
You can clarify for me. Now, she said, I said she wanted to get out the marriage. I said, once you had a baby, I'll set you free.
Sheikh, we'll talk about that later. You cutting into the time, Sheikh.
I got to ask a question.
Tell you. Vadain. So then, iddatuha min mautin wa ghayrihi ila wad'i kulli hamlin. So then her iddah period is when she delivers the child. Right.
Okay, so that means that's
So that means, I'm going to explain. What that means is if her husband passes away, or he doesn't, if her husband passes away and she's pregnant, then her iddah is the iddah for a woman that's pregnant, not for the one whose husband passed away. All right? Right. No, that's the first. We're still on the one that's pregnant. وَأَكْثَرُ مُدَّةِ الْحَمْلِ. Now pay attention. This was written, now these are issues, this was written, I want to say maybe 500, 600, 700 years ago, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is because when we studied some of these issues, you might say, all right, this may be a bit outdated, right? Because of the times. So, and this is all for the people who say, some people say Islam has modernized, right? When they say Islam modernized, you got to ask the person, what do you mean by that? Do you mean by aqeedah, how we believe in Allah and Tawheed? La. Do you mean by implementing sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? La. However, there are some issues where there are ijtihadat, meaning some of the scholars of the past, they came with a ruling on something based on what they understood. Can that change today? Yes. Do that fall into modernizing some issues? Mumkin. Because now we have more technology. It's okay, maybe that's, all right, what was the reason why they said that, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's false back then, but now what is the reason for it? So now some of the ulama can look at it and say, okay, maybe this was based on this, and they may be able to give a different verdict as long as it was not a consensus of the scholars of the past, as long as it was not a consensus of the scholars of the past. Right. So then, It says here is وَأَكْثَرُ مُدَّةِ الْحَمْلِ. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because the next thing they said that the longest period of time that a woman could be pregnant, some of them said 4 years. 4 years. Obviously, we know that that's not possible, right? But some of them in the past said 4 years. And they said the shortest amount of time, وَأَقَلُّهَا سِتَّةَ أَشْهُرٍ. And the least amount of time a woman could be pregnant is 6 months. And what they mean by 6 months, meaning 6 months having a healthy child. Maybe they're going to be a preemie, but the child, inshallah, can make it at 6 months. Anything before that, they say no. Okay?
I'm sorry, Sheikh, I missed something.
Right. They said the longest period a woman could be pregnant for is 4 years. Right? That's questionable, at the least. All right? It's questionable. Yeah, right? But then and there are reasons why they said that, but we're not going to get into the details of that. And the shortest amount of time period for a woman to be pregnant is 6 months. Meaning she can have a child after being pregnant for 6 months and the child survives. Right. And it says, وَغَالِبُهَا, but most likely women have a pregnancy that lasts about 9 months. This is more likely and probable, yes.
Question, Sheikh. You might be getting to this. Now, suppose a woman has a miscarriage.
Or we want to get to that.
No, okay.
What was your question about a miscarriage?
Well, my question is, okay, suppose a woman,
If she's divorced while she's pregnant?
she's divorced while she's pregnant, and she has a miscarriage. All right. Does the divorce take place? Is divorce
Did he
final?
divorce her before she had the miscarriage?
Yes.
So she divorced her while she's pregnant?
Right.
Okay. So once the fetus is removed, then that takes the same rule as once she has the baby.
Okay.
Right? But right now we're going to talk about another issue. It says, in Islam, is abortions permissible in Islam?
Yeah.
Who say yes? Raise your hand. You say yes. You say yes. You say la adri. Huh? Is it permissible? You say no.
I mean,
Right.
I would say that. I mean, if I had to say something, I would say it depended on the condition.
Depending on the condition. Right. So in Islam, it is permissible. يباح إلقاء نطفة قبل 40 يوما بدواء مباح بإذن الزوج. It is permissible for a woman to get an abortion within 40 days of being pregnant. Within 40 days of being pregnant with medicine, right? As long as it's with the permission of the husband. And some of the ulama say للضرورة. For example, if it's something that's going to cause harm to the mother's life, etc., etc. Is that clear? After 40 days is Muharram. Why 40 days though?
But see, that's what I'm thinking about.
Uh,
The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ on the decree,
Okay.
where he describes the periods before the angel comes and
Right.
goes into
Right.
and gives it the soul.
Right.
So you're saying that in that particular hadith, there's 3 periods.
Right. The first period.
The first period is water, the second period is a lump of flesh, and the third period is the fetus.
Right.
All right, and then that's when the angel comes and blows.
So here in this case, the soul wasn't placed in the child yet. So it's within the 40 days initially. Right? So they say in that
Why is
regard.
it only 40 days?
Allahu Alam.
Mashallah.
Allahu Alam. I mean, if you want to know why only 40 as opposed to why not longer than that, Allahu Alam. Maybe I have to do some more research. And you know what I mean? I'm not a doctor. I don't, I'm just a naqil right now. I'm just relaying the text. Right. So then the next one. So that's the first one. The first one, a woman that is pregnant. The second woman is al-mutawaffa anha zawjuha. Al-mutawaffa anha zawjuha. a woman whose husband has passed away. If her husband dies, bila hamlin, and this she is not pregnant, minhu qabla dukhul aw ba'd. The woman that is not pregnant. What is her iddah period? Does anyone know? She's not pregnant. He divorces his wife and he passes away.
He divorces his wife and she passes away.
No, he passed away, not her. He passed. That's what we're talking about. The 4 months? 4 months and 10 days. 4 months and 10 days. Now, remember, I want everyone to remember this. In Islam, we got two types of rulings. I've mentioned this over and over again, but I'm going to mention it again. There are two types of rulings. A ruling that is ta'abbudi or mu'allal. Ta'abbudi or mu'allal. Ta'abbudi, it means we hear and we obey. We don't know the reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give us a reason. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam didn't give us a reason, so we say we hear and we obey. This iddah period here, 4 months and 10 days. Somebody might ask, well, why 4 months and 10 days? Why not 4 months and 5 days? Why not 4 months and 11 days? Why 4 months and 10 days? We say this is ta'abbudi, meaning we hear and we obey. We don't ask questions because we don't know the reason. Is that clear? We don't ask questions because we don't know the reason. Right. When he asked about the 40 days, right? Why is it 40 days? Allahu alam. It could be mu'allal. If it's mu'allal, we can look into it and find out. If it's ta'abbudi, then we say we hear and we obey. The same thing when he said a woman being pregnant for 4 years. Is this a hukum? Is this a ruling that is ta'abbudi, meaning Allah said this, or his Prophet ﷺ said this, and that's what it is, and we have no room to look into it? Or is it mu'allal? In this case, it would have been mu'allal, like something that is ijtihad. So there, some of the ulama are going to differ on that issue. I hope I'm making sense. Mu'allal means there's a reason. There's a reason for the legislation. I'm sorry. If we say that it is ta'abbudi, this means we hear and we obey. If we say that it is mu'allal, this means that there is a reason for the legislation. So we can look for a reason. That means you may have a reason, I may have a reason, all based on evidence, of course, but we may differ on how we arrived at a particular verdict.
So you're saying that these are the two types of
Yeah, every ruling in Islam is going to be one or the other. Either it's going to be ta'abbudi or mu'allal. There's no third one. Every ruling in Islam is going to be one or the other. Either it's going to be ta'abbudi, meaning we hear and we obey, we have no room to ask questions about it, or mu'allal, meaning there's a reason for the legislation. If there's a reason for the legislation, that means we could look into it. Because the reason it's possible that the reason can change based on the time period that we live in, or etc. This is from fiqh. This is from having understanding of the deen. Right. So then, if a وَإِن مَاتَ فِي عِدَّةٍ مَنْ أَبَانَهَا. So let's say, for example, a woman asks for a khul'ah, and her husband, he grants her a khul'ah. She's having her iddah. Remember, the iddah for the khul'ah is what? 3 menstrual cycles, contrary to popular local belief, because that's local. It's not, most Muslims don't understand it to be that way. But contrary to popular local belief, the iddah period for a khul'ah is 3 months, 3 menstrual cycles, right? With 3 menstrual cycles, the man grants his wife a khul'ah during her iddah period. He passes away. Does she switch to the iddah period for the woman whose husband passed? Yes or no?
she's technically still married, right?
All right, let's back up. If a man divorces his wife, he divorces his wife, and it's a talaq raj'iyyah. It's a talaq raj'iyyah, meaning it's the first or the second divorce. He divorces her, and while she's in her iddah period, he passes away. Does she transfer to the iddah period of a husband passing away on his wife? Or does it stay the normal iddah period? It transfers to the iddah period of the one, so she starts over from the iddah period of the one whose husband passed away. Why? I want y'all to tell me why.
The husband passed away.
But they got a divorce. He divorced her.
But he could still return.
Mumtaz. Yes.
You're saying she's in the period forced divorce, and then he passed away.
Yes.
And that part that can't transfer to the period from him passing away?
The iddah period that she already started? La. Good question. So the sheikh said, if she's like in her iddah period from a divorce, and after this, she has her first mens, her second mens, and she's going into her third mens, and her husband dies. She has to start all over again with 4 menstrual cycles in 10 days. He said, well, why is that? Why? Because the first iddah that she did was it was called a talaq raj'iyya, which means that technically she was still his wife. Once he passes away, now technically she is still his wife, so now she has to do the iddah period for the wife whose husband passed away, which is 4 months and 10 days. We're not even counting all together because it's 2 different iddah periods. Is that clear? Right. Now let's say, for example, a man divorces his wife. Well, I'm sorry, not divorce. She asks for a khula, or it's a third divorce, and he passes away during that iddah period. Does she do the regular iddah, 3, or does she do the one where her husband passed away, 4 months and 10 days? Huh? You say the regular. Third divorce, or she asks for a khula. Somebody said in the khula she's still technically his wife. Who said that? La, that's a mistake. If you grant a woman a khula, she is not your wife. A khula, she's not your wife. This is called a batin, meaning the only way you can get her back is you have to give her a new dowry and a new contract. All right, so in that case, he would have to, she would, in a khul'a, she would do her regular iddah period. Thalathatul quru, 3 menstrual cycles. 3 menstrual cycles. Yes.
I thought the question was when she's in iddah and it's the 3rd divorce.
Yes.
And he passes away during that period.
Yes.
So she only has to finish the iddah period.
Yeah, so the sheikh said if
I thought that was your original.
it was.
Okay.
It's the same answer though. Whether it's a third divorce or a khul'a, the answer is the same. The answer is the same. Yes.
The first 2 you said is tak raja'iyya.
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 That means a return. He can return her back.
Right. Is there a talaq for the third one? Is there
Batin.
that?
Yeah. Third divorce is called a talaq batin, which means that she is permanently separated until there's a new contract and a new dowry. Now, a person might ask, why does the talaq raj'iyya, if she was divorced from him and she's going into her 3rd menstrual cycle and he dies, why does she have to do the iddah for the woman whose husband passed away? In her mind, our marriage is over. The ulama say because she inherits from him. Because she is still his wife. So if a man divorces a woman and she's on her 3rd iddah and he passes away, she gets some of his inheritance. The sheikh said, wait a minute.
Something changed.
You know, the talaq back.
If it's a 3rd divorce, then no.
Okay.
I said it's a first. Right now we're talking about a 1st or 2nd.
Right. Yeah, you did. You made a mistake.
Oh, I said 3rd? Oh, I'm sorry. That was a mistake. Scratch that from the record. I'll say it again. If a man divorces a wife on a 1st or 2nd divorce, and what I said was she's going into her 3rd mens. I didn't say 3rd divorce. She's going, I did. Sorry. I made a mistake? All right, khalas, I'm going to own it. No problem. No, listen. Brothers and sisters, we're allowed to make mistakes. We're this thing called humans. All of us. All right? So if that's what I said, I made a mistake. What it is, the first or second divorce, she will inherit from him if her husband dies. All right? Even if it's going into the third men's, even if she's going into like the first, the second, and the third, she's going into the third, still all the way up until the last day. All the way up until before, let's say her iddah period is over, only thing left is to make a ghusl, and he passes away, she got to go back and do the 4 months and 10 days, but she still inherits from him. Is that clear? Type. All right, so now we're going to move to the third one. No, this is the third right now. That was the second. The third one is al-ha'il dhatul aqra. The third one is the woman who just gets her mens regular. Meaning, the first one was what? She's not pregnant and her husband didn't die. So this is just a person whose wife gets her 3 mens, he divorces her. Iddah, regular. You're married to your wife, you divorce her, and that's it. What is her iddah period? It's 3 menstrual cycles. It's 3 menstrual cycles. The fourth one. If a man divorces a wife who does not get a mens, let's say she is 50 years of age, for example, and she does not get her mens, what is her iddah period? 3 months. Her iddah period is 3 months. Thalathatu ashhur. Right. The fifth one. Man irtafa'a hayduha. Now, there are some women that don't get their mens, and they're not over 50 years of age. The women that don't get their mens, there are 2 types. Either A, she knows why her mens is not coming, or B, she does not know why her mens is not coming. In this regard, mind you, this is ijtihadat from the fuqaha. This is some of the opinions of some of the scholars. They say, وَمَنْ ارْتَفَعَ حَيْدُهَا وَلَمْ تَدْرِي سَبَبَهُ. If her haid is not coming, or mens is not coming, and she does not know the reason, فَعِدَّتُهَا سَنَةٌ. So in this case, her iddah period is a whole year. Why would it be a whole year? Listen to the reason, not the year. Why is it a whole year? A lot. They say a whole year because we don't know when her mens is coming, so we're going to treat her as if she's pregnant. Pregnancy is 9 months. And then they say, okay, and then a normal mens period will be 3 months if she didn't get her mens. So then they're going to combine, and the 9 plus the 3 equals what? 12. That's how they come up with a year. Right? Now, I'm not saying some of the early men may differ with that, but this is the reason why they come up with 12.
So that's number 5, right?
That's number 5.
That's if she doesn't know why.
No, that's, okay, that's for a woman
So,
who doesn't get a period.
yes.
That's under 50 years old.
Yes. Well, it says, وَعِدَّةُ مَنْ بَلَغَتْ. Now, here's a woman who reached the age of puberty, وَلَمْ تَحِدْ, and she does not have her mens, or didn't come yet, or وَالْمُسْتَحَاضَةِ, or she's bleeding, she bleeds continuously and doesn't know when is her mens blood and when it's not, or she just started bleeding continuously. There's a difference between mens blood and mustahada blood, blood that's continuously flowing. In this case, then they say that the women that are in this case, in their mens or their iddah period is 3 months. Their iddah period is 3 months. Now they say, back to the first part, if they say that the woman that does not get her mens, but she knows why her mens is not coming, let's say, for example, she's sick or she's breastfeeding, etc., then her mens does not start until her mens comes back on. So let's say, for example, a woman's breastfeeding. She's just had a child. And if a woman breastfeeds after having a child, she may not have her mens, right? Is this known or is not known? You don't know that. No, this is known. If a woman breastfeeds, her mens may not come on. Unless, say, for example, the man divorces her while her mens is not coming on. She knows why her mens is not coming on because she's breastfeeding. In that case, her iddah starts when her mens comes back on. Now, for the women that breastfeed, that could be like a year. It could be like a year and a half. It could be almost 2 years. But he gets a divorce her in the beginning. That means her iddah period don't start until her mens comes back on. I know some women not trying to hear that. They're going to be Googling different positions. It's like, I'm not buying that. Let me get on Shake Google real quick. They're like, make sure my husband don't see this class. Or some women might stop breastfeeding. Like, mine ain't breastfeeding no more. طيب. Yes. Yes. Okay. So then she knows why. So in this case, it depends. It depends. It could be the case where, depending on how old she is. Maybe she's older. Sheikh, listen to what I'm saying. If this is a, right now we're speaking in general, right? And I'm only giving one position because this is the book that we're studying. However, in other positions, then the position may be different. Some of the early men may say she only has to do it for 3 months, right? But right now, based on what we studied here, it would have been how long? No. It would have been a year, right? Right. And the law knows best. See, an issue like that will take more research, more looking into the issue. So if the sister came and says, my husband divorced me, I had surgery, I can't get my meds, I know you said this in the class, I'm like, all right, we mentioned that in the class, but this is your specific situation. Let us do more personalized research on your situation, right? Right now, this is a class. Right now, we're coming from a book called Zad al-Mustaqni', okay? We're not talking about you per se. This is not your personal situation. This is general. This is a class. This is called ilm. This is called, you get the information, you process, okay. You hear a situation, I heard this, but I don't know if that applies to you. Let me make sure. Let's go look up the issue in more detail, all right? So this is not for anyone to say, oh man, I heard this in the class. Not this. This right here is speech from the fuqaha. Some of them agree with this, some of them may not agree with it. And the last one, imra'atun mafqud. Here, the last one is that a woman lost her husband. How do you lose your husband? See, during those days, if a man went off the war and he didn't come back, he will be considered mafqud, and he's missing. Right. A missing woman or missing man, how does, if you believe that he is deceased, but you don't have no way of finding out, you have no knowledge of his whereabouts, what do you do in a situation like that? So some of them say you wait 4 years. You wait 4 years. Now, obviously, nowadays that's difficult. We got phones. You can text somebody. You can find somebody. You can pray a private investigator. You can find somebody. You don't think so? Or I mean, you gotta be. Most people love the dunya too much to be off the grid. I'm just saying. Tell you. Yeah, they can find you.
4 years from the hadith, when the man disappeared and the jinn abducted him.
I'm sorry? Said the jinn abducted him? Allah, I don't know anything about that.
Okay. He came back, and I think it was Omar would take it like that.
So then, that's the thing. So then in a case like that, a woman will wait 4 years. And in some cases, they say 4 years, 4 years. And then some of the ulama say, wait until you reach 90, meaning wait until it's like 90 years. Now, I'm just saying this to put that out there. We're not saying, wait, I gotta wait till I'm 90. Of course, Sheikh. We're talking about a woman. A man don't gotta wait. A man doesn't have an iddah period, Sheikh. We're talking about iddah periods. Unless it's his fourth wife. Yes. You're not gonna forget that. That's a little nugget. طيب. I'm not even gonna mention this issue because it's too. You can be like, what? So let's say it even gives an example. The example is, well, in tazawwuj, let's say her husband's missing. She waited the time period. Says, you know what? I'm gonna get married again. So she gets married. As soon as she gets married, they says, wa tazawwajat faqadim al-awwal. Her first husband comes back right after she got married. Right? It says qabla what? And before the second husband is intimate with her. Fahil al-awwal. Then she returns back to her first husband. She belongs to her first husband.
It's like he get booked and he just came back.
No, I'm not getting booked. That's different. Sheikh, that's no. That's different. Because he wasn't missing. You know where he is.
You get arrested in a different country or something. It could happen like that.
That's how I was thinking.
Sheikh, whatever the case may be. The husband's missing for 4 years. She don't know. He comes back. He found out his wife just got married. He's running to try to catch her. They're not intimate level. I hope. That's my folks. And take her back. And the second guy's upset. But, shar'an, legislatively, she's the first guy's wife. Okay? Now, if he consummates the marriage, lahu akhdhuha zawjatan bil aqdi awwal. He can still take her back from the contract that he had initially, walau lam yutalliq athani. Even if she didn't divorce the second guy, he can still take her back. However, if he wanted to, he can leave her with that person or he can take her back. Yes.
Question.
Yes.
If the second husband consummates the marriage, and the first husband returns and claims her back.
Did she have an iddah period, but then go back? She'll have an iddah period before she goes back to the first husband. Yes.
So she got to get money back too?
All of it. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. But Sheikh, he consummated the marriage.
Wait, who are we talking about?
He said he talked to
From the second husband.
Sheikh, that's why I didn't want to talk about this. Scratch that from the books. We'll talk, scratch that. So we're going to move on to another issue. So the next issue. The next one we're going to talk about, the iddah from a woman that has intercourse, that's a shubha, meaning it's a doubtful intercourse, or from zina or anything else. It says, iddatu mawtu'atin bi shubhatin. So the iddah for a woman that, let's say for example, she's in iddah period and she gets married to someone else thinking that she can get married to him, right? This is called the shubha. Once that happens, it's a doubtful. Once that happens, she has to go through an iddah period of 3 menstrual cycles. Is that clear? Right, the next one. Let's say, for example, a woman commits zina. She commits zina. What is the iddah period for a woman that commits zina? Huh? Yeah. Hold, time out. Hold. The sheikh said, he said, the woman is not married, so what are you saying? She doesn't have an iddah period?
So if she's not married, she don't have an iddah.
So the brother, he said, if a woman is not married, she doesn't have an iddah period. Is that true or false, Ya Akhwan? Why is it false?
She might cheat on her husband.
No. Why is it false?
because she may get married.
Why is it false? Why is it false? Ya ikhwa. Mumtaz. Remember, in the very beginning, we mentioned 3 things that will cause a woman to have an iddah period. Number 1, she's alone with somebody. Number 2, she had intercourse with someone. And number 3, her husband died. That was a template. I like that.
So,
Did that make sense?
okay, I'm with you.
So she
But you said that the husband, he's alone with her.
Yes.
I'm thinking alone with her, knowing that this is his wife.
And you saying alone with her, and this is not.
No. So we're not talking about that. Right now, he had intercourse with her. So not the first part, the second part.
Yeah,
He had intercourse.
two people that's not married.
That's what zina is, this shit. Fornication is when two people not married have intercourse.
There's an iddah.
Yes, there's an iddah for that. If a woman commits zina, there's an iddah period for it. The iddah period is 3 menstrual cycles. 3 menstrual
To be
cycles.
clear, meaning if she were to try to get married during that time, it would be.
She has to wait 3 menstrual cycles. It's an iddah. No one can touch her until she goes through 3 menstrual cycles.
So is this 7? Because I thought you said that.
No, it was 6. We passed that. We're on a new part now. It was only 6.
Right, and we got the 6. So what second is this? I'm sorry.
All right. Right now we're talking about what's the ruling for the iddah for the one who has intercourse, a doubtful intercourse, and they have fornication, etc. That's what we're talking about now.
The other one was for a woman who lost her husband.
Yes. No, a woman who, lost her husband. Yes. So the next one is a woman who gets married and she has a aqdas fasid. Let's say, for example, she marries someone in her iddah period. Same thing. She marries someone in her iddah period. The contract is false. Not in some difference of opinion. No, not the iddah period. She married someone without a wali, right? Some of the ulama differ. Some say that it counts. Some say it doesn't. Majority says it doesn't count, right? So in this case, she has an iddah period like a regular woman that got a divorce. Regular 3 menstrual periods. طيب. The last part we're going to cover, inshallah ta'ala, is al-ihdad. What is al-ihdad? Does anyone know what that is? So let's say, for example, a woman, her husband passed away. What is upon the woman whose husband passes away? What is required of her to do? Does anyone know? Mumtaz. So then, from it, اجتناب ما يدعو إلى جماعها. So if a woman's husband passes away, she must stay away from beautifying herself. That means she can't wear any makeup, she can't do anything. It doesn't mean she can't get in the shower, clean herself, but she cannot do anything to beautify herself at all. Right? وَيَرْغَبُ فِي نَظْرِ إِلَيْهَا وَزِينَةَ وَطِيبْ وَتَحْسِينَ. She can't put on any fragrances to smell good, anything that makes her look attractive potentially to anyone else. This becomes impermissible for the woman whose husband passed away. So then, this is called al-ihdad. مدة العدة كل متوفى زوجها عنها في نكاح الصحيح. Any woman whose husband passes away, right? She is required to do something called al-ihdad. Al-ihdad. Al-ihdad is for her to refrain from beautifying herself during that iddah period. And it says, وَيُبَاحُ لِلْبَائِنِ مِنْ حَيٍّ. If a man divorces his wife for the 3rd time, or she gets a khul'ah, she can do that if she wants to, but it's not a requirement. Let's say a woman doesn't want to beautify herself during her iddah period. That's her choice. It's not legislated. It's not a requirement. وَلَا يَجِبُ عَلَى رَجْعِيَّةٍ. And it's not wajib for a woman, if she's divorced for the 1st or 2nd divorce, for her to be that way, meaning not to beautify herself, etc. Likewise, a woman that's in iddah from zina or an iddah from any type of divorce outside of her husband passing away. Is that clear? طيب. Some of the things, it says that وَفِي النَّظْرِ إِلَيْهَا مِنَ الزِّينَ وَالطِّيبِ وَالتَّحْسِينِ. So if a woman is going through ihdad when her husband passes away, she should not put on any henna. Al-hinna, she should not put on any type of jewelry, any type of kuhul, how some women put in their eyes, none of that. However, If she wears niqab, she can continue to wear niqab. And if she wears white clothing, she can continue wearing white clothing or any color that she chooses, even if it's nice clothes. But she cannot beautify herself. She cannot beautify herself. And the last thing we want to cover here is when a woman, husband passes away, where does she live? Where does she go? Huh? تجب عدة الوفاة في منزل حيث وجبت. So it's wajib for her to stay in the house of her husband who passed away. Unless فإن تحولت خوفا أو قهرا, if she moves out of fear or she's forced to move, maybe he rented the property and there he has to turn the keys in, etc. أو بحق انتقلت حيث شاءت, that she can move wherever she wants to if she's forced to leave the property. And it says وَلَهَا الْخُرُوجُ لِحَاجَتِهَا, and she can leave the home for things that she needs during that time period. In the daytime, not in the night. In the daytime, not in the night. وَإِن تَرَكَتِ الْإِحْدَادِ أَثِمَتْ, and if she refuses to follow these guidelines that Islam has legislated for her when her husband passes away, then she is sinful. وَتَمَّتْ عِدَّتُهَا بِمَضِي زَمَانِهَا, and then she finishes and completes her iddah as the time that she is responsible for doing it in. With that, inshallah ta'ala, we have completed the book of iddah, most of it. Inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow, I mean, if you want to, we can finish it tonight. Huh? Tonight or tomorrow, we're going to go through the book of nafaqah, maintenance. Tomorrow? Y'all burnt out? Yeah, it's not that long. The book of maintenance is short. We could do it. We could do it tomorrow. You ain't gonna be here tomorrow? Inshallah, huh? Oh, who wants to do it tonight? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sisters probably want that tonight. At least they can leave, figure out. All right, khalas. All right, so we finish this tonight, then we don't have class tomorrow. All right? All right? Huh? Oh, you can't switch up, Sheikh. I'm trying to knock it all out right now. But, khalas then. We'll do it tomorrow. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we'll continue this tomorrow, the book of Nafaqah. Inshallah.